Jeff Rash, Dakota Goddard, and Ryan Emery. I know during the Sportsman feature, there was, I guess I used the word upset a lot in the area. I actually announced this race from outside the Moxie Tower in front of the concession stand. And I'm just an announcer, and I hate when stuff like this happens because I get bombarded with questions like, why did that happen? I don't have those answers. I'm not an official. I'm just talking about what I see. And it was a little bit of definitely a little bit of a controversial call because in the feature before, in the street stock feature, and I'm sure you remember this, Jody Tanner had some mechanical issues, and I think he went, 15 laps. 15 laps of the feature smoking, and it was getting heavier and heavier and heavier, and you could see the oil going down. 3 or 4 cars that spun in that oil in the low groove where Tanner had been running, and finally in the very late stages, flagman black flagged him. The controversy in this race was kind of born from that Jody Tanner situation in the race prior. People complaining about, and vocal in the crowd about, Tanner smoking so much and leaking oil and causing cars to spin. And I'm sure it wasn't, it's not intentional. And Jody's a racer. If he's not going to get black flag, he's going to race. He's going to give everything he's got. He's
exactly.
Competitive. I don't blame him. I wouldn't pull off either. That being said, Emery in the 97 had an issue with was a power steering line. Came out of turn 2, leaked some power steering fluid out, a big puff of smoke out of the back of the car, and was black flagged out of turn 4. He smoked down the backstretch. Came out of turn 4 and got the black flag. People were like, what is going on? Why did that just happen? He didn't smoke. Once that puff of smoke cleared, he wasn't smoking after that. I immediately was bombarded with questions and went straight back up into the tower because I don't have an answer why that happened. I'm not an official. I'm not a flagman. It did catch a lot of people off guard, but it kind of hurt Emery. He finished laps. It happened on lap 8. But all in all, this Sportsman main event, how do you beat Tom Yak? What do you got to do to beat this guy?
I don't know. I don't know if anybody has the answer to that. Chad Slover's coming close. Casey Rhodes is bringing it on. Just short of throwing roofing nails out on the track.
Right.
It's going to take somebody something. And like guys have said before, if the racing gods aren't with you and Lady Luck's not there,
and luck is a big part of it.
Luck is a big thing.
It is.
It's not just who brings the best machine to the track. Because Jody Tanner, that guy brings a quality machine to the track.
He really does.
Look at what happened with Lady Luck this weekend.
Was not on his side in any race. Very unfortunate. Super Sports?
Super Sports.
Okay.
Here comes the sideboard.
16 Super Sports this week. Fast qualifier. Mr. Dan Dybel.
Really?
Now, this is a guy that if I am the 13 of Barley or I am the 88 of Winkler or the 44 of Thompson, I've got to be concerned with that 74 car because I'm not kidding when I say this. Every single week, that car gets better and that driver shows up.
Well, you look at Dybel. Dybel's working with all those guys. He's got
Jeff Reeves, Norm Davis. He's got, Thompson's part of that. They're all.
It's an all-star team.
It really is.
Who could ask for a better crew than that?
Well, and when you've got a sports car like Dan, and you've got one, like Thompson, and the rest of these guys in sports cars, and Norm Davis has a hand on your car.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Arguably, and there's no doubt in the Western United States, there's nobody better on a sports car than Norm Davis.
There really
I
isn't.
don't think there's anybody better on a sports car than Norm Davis, other than maybe Audi. The manufacturer.
And that's going to be a toss-up, too, because,
Norm understands these cars, and we've seen him not only make Russ sell fast in those cars, we've seen him make Cody sell fast, Brady sell fast, we've seen him make Brian Thompson fast, now Dan Dybel and Andrew Dybel. Anybody in a sports that Norm's ever worked on has been highly competitive.
Have you ever seen Norm in the pits at the track? I know you're normally up in the tower, but have you ever been in the pits and watched Norm?
Intense.
He has the same look on his face, and I've been in the pits. I've been fortunate enough to see Norm. He will walk from the car. He'll walk over to the board. look at the board for a couple seconds, walk up to the entrance, walk back to the pit, and next thing you know, his car goes out and takes fast time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He's not just a master on the shorts. He's a master of reading that clay. I mean, he's a defending track champion. With him and Virgil Hansen teamed up, back in the 70s, 80s?
They were track champ together in 77.
I mean, those two.
Yeah.
You've got the track championship behind him. He's got Virgil Hansen with the motor knowledge.
The history he's got at that track. Another guy, countless laps, understands that racetrack, how to set a race car up. If you got a Swartz, Norm's the guy you talk to.
Exactly.
Dan Dybel and Brian Thompson have got that in their pocket.
They're lucky. They are very lucky.
They really are. They really are. That being said, Supersport qualifying went like this. Our top 4 qualifiers were Dan Dybel, Brian Winkler, and we're going to talk more about Brian because this is a dude that's coming on. I mean, he is in the hunt week in and week out. Brian Thompson and Jeff Rash. I mean, those were your 4 fast qualifiers. Now, 3 of those were in the 16-second bracket, and that was Dan Dybel, Brian Winkler, and Brian Thompson. Okay? 16.541 was fast time. Now, that's pretty dang good in a super sport on a dry slick track with slick tires.
Yes.
That's getting around pretty good. 2.1 seconds from top to bottom over throughout the field. But this is a class that is just, I mean, one of those deals where you've got 4 or 5 guys that you can bet on winning, but anybody in the field is capable of winning this. The 61 car, Jerry Casey, was 5th fast. Randy Barley, we've seen him with, he's got 3 or 4 wins. Thompson's got 5 wins now. I mean, it's just been one of those deals where if it's right for you that night, these guys it's a tough division to win in. It really is.
These guys are insane. I mean, you look at, the points spread going into this.
Mm-hmm.
You look at it, and Randy Barley out front going into this was at 936 points. 91 back, Jerry Casey.
Right.
Then you've got Chris Mott. Only, what?
Chris Mott is, 107 back out of the lead.
Out of the lead, but look at that spread between Mott and Casey. It's
right.
Not much.
Well, then look at from Chris Mott to Brian Thompson. Now, Thompson's got 5 wins. He's 138. He hasn't missed a race.
Yep.
He's 138 out of the lead with, I believe, 6 races to go. Anybody in that top 5?
Yeah.
Anybody in that top 5.
Well, look who's creeping in 5th.
Yeah.
Brian Winkler.
Right, and that's a guy that's, I'll tell you what, you do not sleep on that 88 because that car over the last couple of weeks has just turned on.
That car. There's something about that car.
Well, and he's a former champion. I mean, he's no slouch. You talk about a guy that'll drive a race car. I mean, he'll give you everything he's got as well. And he's a former champion in the sportsman class.
Mm-hmm. And that's another guy out there. If you're going to pass Brian Winkler,
you're going to work your tail off.
You're going to work your tail off. You're going to earn it, and it's going to be one successful pass.
Yeah, it's going to be. You're going to work getting past Brian Winkler,
especially in that 88 car. It's on.
It is. It really is, and he's been impressed over the last couple of weeks, and you can just see the confidence. Talking with him in the pit area before the races, the smiles, bigger and bigger every week, and he's just kind of like. And I think he feels like it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and I won't be surprised if he wins 1 or 2 before the season's over. I mean, that car is that good now, and that driver is that good.
And we talk about how much we've seen that car improve over the last couple of weeks. I wouldn't be surprised if he just starts knocking them dead.
Right. It's just, yeah, absolutely. He's a front runner. Heat race number 1. Let's talk about that. This was a tough race. Larry Ramirez in an 11 car. He was in a field with Brian Brown, Mike Becker, James Slover, the 01 of Mike Robbins, the sports car, Clyde Rood, Robert Mercer, and Chris Mott. Kind of a knockdown drag-out right here. I mean, these guys here, those guys are. You want to talk about the meat and potatoes of this field? These are the blue-collar guys that are just. I mean, that
they're out there trading paint.
Yeah, these are race car drivers, and Ramirez. I mean, 3.3 seconds was the win. Victory of margin.
And that's huge in this class.
And he's another guy that's been really fast the last couple of weeks in 11 car. The Purple Haze TR Motorsport, TR Points car. You can't sleep on him.
No, you can't.
He's been around a while. He's a race car driver. Brian Brown has been pretty quick. Now that car, you've got some people jumping in of it. I mean, especially Brian Smith. And Brian's the kind of guy that can get out and give you feedback on how to make your car faster. That's just what he does.
That's big Brian Smith.
I think he's probably won in everything he's ever been in at some point.
I don't doubt it.
I don't think he hasn't driven a race car more than 2 or 3 times and not won in it. You know, it's just what he's a talented driver.
Exactly.
He's definitely fun to watch. Talked with him during the week and tried to get him in here, but he is so busy right now. Couldn't get him on the show and in the studio. And we'll try to do that before the season's over. It's kind of a tough deal given how busy he is. But Brian Brown was second. Mike Betker was third. James Slover. And Robbins. Who else we have? We had Clyde Rood, Robert Mercer, and Chris Mott. Now, Chris Mott was 3 laps down. I can't remember what happened to him. But he is a guy that is just like, that 16 car has been fast. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's one of those deals where either he has been really fast or couldn't find luck in a 4-leaf clover. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So evidently we've got if there's music playing in the background, I'm sorry. We'll get that fixed for you. I don't think it's there now. Okay, good. All right. So you see a bump a button, hey, widescreen. I blame this on you.
Hey, you know what?
You haven't touched anything, but
I don't touch it. I'm sitting here with my hands to myself and the mic.
You can't be any farther away from the board of the computer. I'm the one bumping buttons here. That's my fault.
I'm more worried about the cord from my mic coming unplugged.
Yeah. You'll be fine. So, I mean, this Super Sport class is just, man, this is a class that is either it's going to grow or just I don't know. The Super Sports really, they're so much fun to watch. It's got that old school flavor. It's got the sideboards and the wedge cars and the no tops, and I love it. And I want to see this class. I want to see 25 of these. I mean, who doesn't like the Super Sports? If you've been around the track, the history, and you haven't been there that long, so you haven't got to see what we've seen. But that being said,
well, that's true. But when we start going down memory lane. You go down memory lane, guys start pulling out these pictures of, Bob Boyd, Brian Drager, all those guys, Russ Sell, Leo Hillier with these huge sideboards, the big bad wedge noses on it. It's like, why can't we have that back?
I know.
And now we do.
Well, we do. We do it to an extent, and it is great. It is great for the people that have been there a long time. It's definitely fun to watch.
It brings back what racing was at Willamette.
Well, and that's the nostalgic feeling for the fans that wanted it. They've got it, and it's a good class. And that's the thing about this class, too. You've got a couple guys that are the front runners, but then you've got another field of cars that truly anybody on any given night can pull this off. Heat race number 2. Listen to this. This was a tough heat race. Listen to this field. We had Drew Dybel, Jeff Rash, Jerry Casey, Dan Dybel, Brian Winkler, Randy Barley, BJ Donofrio, and Brian Thompson.
Okay, whose bright idea was to put all those guys in the same heat race?
That's based on qualifying.
Oh, man.
Based on qualifying. And the best lap time in this race, remember, this wasn't these guys didn't have a great track to work with.
No.
16.899. Pretty decent lap time.
Yeah.
Okay. Margin of victory, Brian Thompson picked up the win. Margin of victory was 0.6 of a second. Just over half second. Okay, over BJ Donofrio, rookie driver.
Yeah.
That
99 machine.
Yeah, that's a Swartz car. It's the Swartz car's top 2. He's a second-generation driver. His dad ran at Willamette for quite a while with the 99, the Skyline Ford car. Kid's done pretty good as a rookie driver.
He really has.
Not a lot of seat time, but he's held his own. We've seen some rookie mistakes, and we've seen him improve. So
yeah, but to go out in the fast heat.
That's it, fast heat.
Fast heat to run second to Brian Thompson and only be, 0.6 back?
Right.
That's, for a rookie driver being 11 races in the seat, that's saying something.
Mm-hmm.
There's some genetics playing a part there.
Yeah, he's doing well. The kid, he's won a heat race, so he's got nothing to complain about. I think as a rookie, how high do you set your goals as a rookie? Trophy dashes, heat race wins. You can shoot for a feature, but
at Willamette Speedway, that's
right.
going to be a little difficult.
That's a big.
But then again, it can happen.
It can happen, especially in this